Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here at the E-commerce and Digital Marketing Expo. When I speak to the world and other people about the e-commerce, usually the first thing that comes to their mind is actually Amazon. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, like, Amazon is huge. They made something like over $380 billion in 2020 in revenue. And they're so big that sometimes it's almost impossible to remember that not a long time ago, they used to be just an ambitious bookstore, right? Of course, they're still selling books. And there's one particular category of books that has drawn my attention a lot. I thought it was very interesting that there are over 70,000 results that come up under the self-help category. And I wanted to include this because the other day I was watching a TED Talk online, and the guy was saying, like, how all the titles in this category are so inspiring and so empowering for people. And indeed, people are very happy and keen to talk about their personal transformation. And the responses they get are also super positive. Like, you're training for a marathon, good for you. You're such a badass, right? And there's always so much happiness and energy around this personal transformation journey. And that's because we understand that personal transformation is what's going to enable us to live our lives to the best potential we have. But there's also a different kind of transformation that occupies a very different emotional space within, let's say. And here you can think about business transformation, organizational transformation, digital transformation. People react very differently to these words. They tend to be afraid of these and try to run away, let's say. And this is exactly why the journey to the future can be so hard and filled with obstacles. It's not because we don't know what it takes to win. We know. But we see the change that it's required, and that's what's making it difficult. Personally now, I am in a global role, so I'm very happy to be working with very big, bold ambitions, seeing how we're going to shape the future of our company online. But when you're in a market and you're actually trying to make people change the way they work, that can be very challenging. So when I was putting together those slides, I was trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to talk about? And I thought perhaps I can draw a little bit from my experience in my previous role when I was leading digital commerce and marketing for the region of Eastern Europe. And let me give you some context here. When we say Eastern Europe, it's not the geographical description of the region. It includes actually 57 markets. In some of them, only the beer business. In others, both the beer and spirits business. And as you can imagine, this comes with a fair amount of complexity. So multiple stakeholders that you need to manage, but also markets on a very different maturity level in terms of consumer habits, the actual digital maturity of the organization, but as well the advertising regulation around alcohol. So there I was, my team and I were asked to lead the digital transformation of this region, and we're trying to figure out how can we grow digitally, and how can we increase our online sales. On e-commerce is a traditionally small channel in this region with small absolute numbers. Why we needed to do that was very clear for us. E-commerce was growing fast for spirits, and it continues to grow. So now we can safely say that what happened in the past couple of years is not an ephemeral trend, but rather the pandemic boom triggered a change in consumer behavior that's here to stay. And this happened across FMCG brands, but when we take a look at the ratio of online versus offline growth, we see that alcohol is actually leading the way. And on top of that, the online basket is way more premium than the offline one. And Diageo does have a very premium portfolio that fits perfectly with the online trends. But it's not just about the digitally generated revenue. People often tend to forget about what we call the digitally influenced sales. You see, nowadays, more often than not, the shopper journey begins online, even if the transaction is ultimately made in a physical store. So not winning online is not an option. As Diageo, we're evolving, and we're moving to what we call a next generation of celebration. So with the consumer at the heart of everything we do, we realize that it's not enough to be celebrating life every day, everywhere, but also in every way. We need to meet our consumers where they are, and they are mostly online. In Eastern Europe, we took a look at the future, and we realized that with the consumer at the center, in order to serve them in the best possible way, we needed to be the leaders, experts to to our partners and our customers, and even faster, more innovative and braver. So we created our strategy around 4 focus areas. The first one is phygital and omni-channel. As the lines are getting more and more blurred, digital is everywhere. And the shopper journey includes multiple sales channels at once. So it's actually everybody's job to win with digital. We need to remove the friction from the buying journey and provide consumer-friendly digital experiences with consistency across different channels. The second part is experience and personalization, of course, through the use of data. Our consumers are expecting more personalized experiences, and we need to be providing more of them and do that fast. And in order to do that, you need data, first-party data, third-party data, any kind of data to address the needs of each consumer on a personal level. Our infrastructure needs to be evolving alongside shopper contexts so that we can provide them with the most relevant experiences and products. Then the favorite word here, innovation. But innovation is not just about the products or even tech. Innovation is a mindset of not being afraid to fail. Because if you want to win, you need to have a build, measure, learn approach. Keep trying new things all the time. Be truly the leader, the one that is creating the new lines in the maps of our shoppers. And the final part is actually B2B, business to business. I feel like there's a misconception that e-commerce is about the end purchase. And that's not true. It's actually a full route to consumer that we need to digitize, a whole ecosystem that we need to transform. So we need to be reaching out to our network beyond our organization and guide them, help them evolve through capabilities and also tools. Our journey begins with the consumer. As their habits are evolving, we are there to support them, to provide them with new experiences, to learn from them, evolve with them. But it's not a journey that we can go through alone. We're in this together with our partners, our distributors, our customers, and we need to be working closely with them in a variety of topics, from like supply chain operations to optimizing their search engines online or setting up their digital self and even synergizing for more effective marketing campaigns. But we also need to take a really good look at ourselves. You see, e-commerce is not, or at least should not be, a mission of a sidecar function, but rather a new passion for all, where everyone has the agency to take initiative, to act, to grow digitally. We need to be sharing information like never before and keep asking ourselves, what is the next question I need to be answering now? So we took all that vision and strategy and we drafted an actionable plan with clear milestones for the next years, and they're organized around 4 pillars. The first one is capabilities. So we made sure that everyone in the organization is familiar with the key principles of 1, how we are reaching to our consumers online, 2, how we help them navigate with ease, 3, how we are providing the right information and education about our products, and then the 4th one, what can each of us do to help inspire the consumer? And this is what we call our 365 Essentials framework. Then data. We wrote down all the actions we needed to take the data from the many different sources and put them all in one place so that we can get valuable insights and have a data-driven strategy and enable fast decision-making. And of course, all these complemented by a rigorous measurement and evaluation process. Then we have content. I have to admit this was kind of a tough one, as we needed to redesign our content supply chain from scratch. We built our own product information management system, and then we had to also optimize everything for mobile. And the final part is the ways of working. We set up new routines. We needed to make sure that in every conversation happening across the company, people are also speaking about e-commerce. And we also drafted our course to a transition from what is now a hierarchy model to a network model, where everyone has digital and e-commerce as some part of their role description. I know I'm speaking a lot about the transformation and the challenges we had to overcome, but this was also a very fun journey for us. We got to learn so many new things as we're trying to find ways to connect with that future consumer, from 3D bottles and augmented reality projects to machine learning. And as I speak, feel free if you want to scan the QR code that's on the screen. If everything works well, this is going to take you to What's Your Whiskey platform, which is our own intelligent whiskey guide that gets data points on your taste profile and gives you the right recommendations to help you explore and discover what is the right whiskey based on your taste palette. All these, what you see on the screen, they have been great levers for us. Not because they're driving sales, of course they do that, but also because they help us inspire our colleagues, our customers, our partners. And we don't stop there. We need to keep on innovating, to keep finding and creating new, more immersive experiences. So at the end of March in 2022, we actually launched Taste of the Future, which is our very own virtual bar. And this was an initiative that was part of the Fashion Week of 2022 in Decentraland in the Metaverse. As you can see, we have been on kind of a dual journey here. On the one hand, we're trying to help the organization and the brands in the region transform and digitize with future as our compass, let's say. But on the other hand, jumping in the future right now, today, to create a movement of people that want to bring change, to inspire them. There have been, though, some key learnings that I'm taking with me from this experience, and I want to share with you. The first one is how crucial education is. Everyone in the organization needs to keep on receiving trainings and do so consistently. Even though most of us here, if not all of us, are ourselves users of e-commerce and the internet, of course, it does not necessarily mean that we know what it takes to win or that we understand how brands are building relationships online. So everybody needs to be able to speak the same language as our consumers and our customers. Bill Gates said it first, famously, that content is king, and really I cannot stress enough how it's never too soon to start organizing. Get your product information management system in place. Take stock of all the content you have around your products. Understand what you're missing, create more, but do so in a very targeted way, and make sure to keep it updated. Then data. Yeah, it's the gold of the future, right? But in order to make good use of data, you need to be able to actually connect the dots. And how can you do that? You need to have a hub, a single source of truth where all data and information is stored so that every one of the employees is going to be referring to that one single number across the multiple reports that I'm sure are being produced daily. And get as much data as you can in there, first party, third party, zero party. You need to start seeing data as a value metric on its own, a value that you're going to redeem later by all the insights you will be able to produce. And I'm going back to my favorite word of innovation. For innovation to succeed, you need to have a design thinking approach. Ask the question, how may we do X? Where X is something that brings value to the consumer or solves problems for them. And you're going to get a lot of responses to these questions. But don't disregard anything. Trust me on this one. Write everything down. Put it in an effort impact matrix and keep on reviewing this. And a lot of these ideas you will want to test. And I know that test and learn is kind of like a buzz phrase these days, but I'm a firm believer that it's something you need to be pursuing actively. So set up a budget for this exact reason, and let people from the whole organization, from any function, come to you and pitch their ideas. And then run short, small-scale experiments. What's going to happen? I mean, you will either win or you will learn. Either way, you're going to be one step closer to the future. But note that for this to work, you need to have your KPIs predefined. Make sure that you know what you're going to be measuring. The final learning for me is that we all need to stop and take a look into our future and see that consumer there, even if they feel like they're still way far away from us. We need to reach out to them, to listen, to understand them, to build for them. Because if we want to win with digital, we need to really be in love with the consumer of the future today. Thank you very much.